Yes, guys, welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows. We are Saka, and hats off G, the hardest working man on FPL YouTube. Maybe. And you know, a lot of the hard work is actually on, not even on my channel, is it? I'm on Chasing Green Arrows now. You've just been watching Saka on Fantasy Football Scout. I did Burning Questions today. I did the FPL pod for the Premier League yesterday. I'm on Sky on Friday. I'm on the Premier League on Friday. Yeah, loads going on. Oh, I'm doing some stuff at Leicester City on Friday night. Yeah. I guess I am quite hardworking. So hello to you. Hello to all the chat. Thank you guys, as always, for streaming. We have got big man Backer with us today. I'm going to be grilling him on Bruno. I say grilling him. I'm also going to be complimenting him because, look, Bruno got his first attacking return and big man is still on him. So he got that 5 points. But watching the game, I don't know. He had 5 shots, to be fair. But I don't know. I watched it and still thought he's not an FPL asset. But let's see. Let us know in the chat if you think he's turned a corner. If the fixtures for United mean actually you very much stay on Bruno. Offcore's in the chat. He's listening while working. Thanks, Offcore, for joining, mate. One of our channel mods. Good day there to Rodrev. Hello to Freddie as well. Is Big Man doing his hair? Maybe. Heather was also in on Burning Questions. Awesome to see. Well, thank you, guys. My big dilemma. Do you know what? Can we have a bit of help from the chat today? My big dilemma is who am I buying for my team? So let us know in the chat. Compelling arguments to buy Son or buy Palmer. I can only have one. I'm selling Saka. Which one do I buy? Son, by the way, was not pictured in training about an hour ago. Spurs, of course, have a Europa League game on Thursday night. So let's try and find out a little bit more about that. Postecoglou press conference, I expect, is any moment now. I expect it's usually around 1 o'clock. So we might be getting Sonny news very, very soon. Big man is in the house. A man that bought Son. And I'm going to question you on Son because you were really unlucky not to
Hi,
get more
Johnny.
points. But how are you, mate?
Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Just a second.
Big man can't hear us. He's not got earphones in. Although, does he usually have earphones in? Don't know if he does. Is Big Man an earphones kind of guy? He's not a headphones kind of guy. Is he an earpods kind of guy? Don't even know. I should know that. That you guys probably know I'm always an earphones kind of guy. That's because I'm not smart enough to work out the technology of an earpod. Yeah, no Son in training. Only 2 players missed training, so it wasn't like a load of them missed it. And he also came off at 69 minutes. Now, we assume that was because he was just getting a break because he's been back from injury. But maybe Son got reduced minutes because he had a little knock. Who knows? Big man, I think, is going to be here any second. Lewis says, Son all day long. Foden's one good fixture, nothing further. Also minutes risk. Yeah. No, I know he is. John Duran scored, started. What do we make of that? I mean, look, Ollie Watkins is not going to be missing Premier League games, but I want to see if they ever play together. If they do, though, Morgan Rogers isn't quite as appealing. Morgan Rogers, again, brilliant for Aston Villa last night. A chance to revel in your sells pick while we wait. Yeah, fair point. I am reveling in the sells pick. Matt Sells with 11 whopping points. Guys, who's your goalkeeper? And if you can make a goalkeeper transfer, who would you transfer in? If I said you've got a free goalkeeper transfer, let us know what that would be. Big man is in the house. Big man.
Hi, Johnny. How are you doing?
I'm well, mate. How are you?
I'm good, bro. Thanks for having me. Hello, welcome to all the season viewers. Congratulations on your Matt Sells 11-pointer. Saved your week. I was watching the game and, he was... kudos to you for picking him. He's such a huge differential. Yeah. He was making save after save. Very good pick. I think a lot of people went different with Raya and Flecken on the Game Week 6 wildcard. But yeah, very inspired pick. Well done, mate.
It's one of the few things I got right. So yeah, I'll revel in it. It's like forget all my outfield players, but my goalkeeper choices have been good. I wanted Sells game week 1. The only reason I didn't buy Sells game week 1 was because the fear of like the Forest goalkeeper situation. But I think we all saw at the end of last season, since Nuno's been there, the Forest defence has been very good. And Sells continues to impress as an FPL asset. And the other keeper I was looking at on wildcard in 6, I was between Sells and Pickford. And Pickford's also been a really good pick. So, yeah, got one thing right. But, mate, congrats on you. We'll speak about Bruno later. But congrats on Sonny, because you moved heaven and earth to get him in. Like, you took that gamble. We didn't know if Saka would start or not. And I texted you, I think, on the Friday night, and you
Friday night.
said, like, yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were like,
I texted you actually. I
you
asked
texted
you
me, yeah. I was
that.
like, what are you still doing
Yeah,
up
I
so
texted you and
late?
I asked you because you were tweeting and you said that the guy was Timber and not
Yeah,
Saliba. Sorry,
yeah,
not Saka. So I
yeah,
texted you asking that, are you sure that Saka's not traveled? And you're like,
yeah.
yeah, mate, I'm sure he isn't there. I'm 100% sure. And then
I was so
once
sure.
we didn't have any and once we didn't have any concrete news before the deadline, I moved.
Yeah. Do you know, after we spoke, I had someone message me who saw my tweets or my Instagram posts, and they've spent a lot of time. I won't say who it is. They've spent a lot of time with Saka, and they messaged me going, "Mate, there's no way, no way that is Saka. Like, I know his walk because I've spent a lot of time with him." And you do when you spend time in someone's presence, not just seeing them on a camera, but you know their walk. And it was like, that was never Saka. It still didn't mean he wasn't going to play though. Like, I kept Saka because I thought Arteta's put him in a different vehicle or something, because that's the lengths Arteta will go to for a mind game. But yeah. So Sonny, tell us about it, because have you seen he's not been pictured in training today, and he only got 69 minutes. We
I did.
assumed he was getting a break, but the good news is the Ange Postecoglou press conference. Remember, they play tomorrow, is in 10 minutes time. So we'll bring you that on Chasing Green Arrows.
I mean, I saw the news and it is concerning, but then again, you can just simply argue that it's maybe because the fixture is a European fixture, which isn't as relevant
True.
as the games that is coming up at the weekend. So maybe he's being rested for it, but maybe I'm being a tad too optimistic. But the good thing is that Ange is fairly transparent and clear in his press conferences. So I'm sure we'll have some sort of clarity with regards to Son's availability for the weekend. I mean, if he is out, then I mean that would throw a huge curveball this week, because this has been a very relaxed sort of week for me, where I mean I'm going to be rolling the transfer if nothing comes up. But if Son is out, then that changes quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, it does. It really does. My big move this week is Son or Palmer. Let's get straight to it. I want your take, big man. Son or Palmer for Saka. My plan was always Saka out, Palmer in this week, to the point where I've got the exact funds to do it. Right, I made my moves early last week. I bought Solanke before his price rise on the Friday night, just because I knew I needed exact funds for Palmer. Palmer goes up in price tonight, big man. If I want Palmer and I stick to that plan, I've got to buy him tonight. What do you reckon? Because that plan was always in place, Palmer. And then I saw Son play at the weekend and was like, oh, do I need Sonny for the next 3? It's the Ipswich game in 11.
It's the Ipswich game in 11. And I think you need to ask yourself this question, that if you buy Son, will you captain him in game week 11? If you do, then he's probably a better buy than Palmer. But then again, personally, if you ask me this question, I think Palmer is probably a better player to buy at this point, because for most teams, they'll be selling Son to Palmer in 12 anyway. So if you buy Palmer right now, it will save a transfer going forward.
Yeah.
The only sort of caveat in this situation is that will Son be your captain in game week 11? And if you think he's the best captain, then that might actually make the move worth it.
I think he is the best captain in game week 11. I could still get to him in 11, because I could sell Foden to Son. I'd need a little bit of money, but I can make that happen. So that move is still possible in 11 for me. I could go Palmer in 9, roll in 10, 2 free transfers, bring in Son for the Ipswich game. Like, Son, most only want to own to 11, but the fixtures are actually fine long term for Son. And I still don't know if Son is absolutely necessary. Like, he was amazing against West Ham, but is it a game state thing? Did it just... I mean, Brennan Johnson was amazing and blanked. Brennan Johnson also had 5 shots. Brennan Johnson an XG of 0.8, 0.9, like similar to Sonny. So I do wonder if I absolutely need to move heaven and earth. Maybe I'm answering my own question there and saying just go Palmer, Gianni. Also, Palmer doesn't play in the Europa League. He gets the midweek rest.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't been registered in their squad, right? So
yeah, which is relevant for the group stages only, but it won't be all season, but for the group stages only, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very tricky one. I assume a lot of people are in the same boat. I actually think you're you're actually lucky enough to be in a position where you can afford Palmer. It's probably because you have planned for it
Yeah.
for I think the past 2 weeks, and in
I
fact, all
bought
your moves were
Diggling.
actually your moves are actually tailor made to actually
Yeah.
facilitate the transfer going forward. So you're actually in a bit of a good position where a lot of other people will, let's say, I mean, Saka's son will be one transfer move for them, but if they have to move to Palmer because of the budget constraints, they might have to make two transfers to get there.
Yeah. And what do you make of that Chelsea game? Because if Palmer would have banged against Liverpool, the world and their dog would want him. Ironically, he didn't, and he's still going up in value. Like, he is 52% owned. He needs another 2,500 managers to buy him before tonight, and he should rise in price according to the algorithms, the predictions. But Chelsea at home have a very good record. Palmer at home has a very good record, and Newcastle don't look the best.
I mean, it's a tricky one to answer. I think he's going to do well. I think he's a fine player to have this week. I mean, I don't think I'll have him if Son is fit. I definitely don't think I will. But if Son is out, I might consider bringing him in through maybe a Saliba downgrade. But he's an excellent player to own, and I'd expect Chelsea to do well and Palmer to do well this week.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I don't think he's essential by any means at this point before game week 12.
No.
Simply because the Arsenal fixture in 11 is going to be tricky, but he's a good player to have for sure.
Yeah. And the Man United fixture is a good one, I think, at Old Trafford. I like that for Palmer. He's a boyhood Man United fan. I think United will have a go. There'll be space. I don't mind that as a fixture. Sure, it's not the best, but the fixtures aren't bad for Palmer. They're not great. But it's that Arsenal one in 11, which puts a few people off, I think, going, just wait for 12. In 12, by the way, if you are looking, it's a sea of green. Leicester, Villa, Southampton. He then plays Spurs, the only red fixture. But then it's Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves. Like, honestly, until the end of January, you're going to want Cole Palmer in your team. That's sure. Everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people would probably double or triple up on Chelsea at this point in 12.
True.
For example, someone like a Jackson could be popular. Maybe a defender, Colwell probably, one of those.
Yeah, it really might be. Let's turn our attention then away from, it feels like, to get Palmer, and if you want Saka back in 12, and there's talk of how do we get Salah in our team, there's a few different things, right? Like, in terms of attackers we want. And they all come with the same conclusion. We need money. Is Trent a potential cash cow? Would you be selling? You don't have Trent. So, like, because you've probably looked ahead and gone, actually, I'm going to need the funds and he's too expensive. We've had 1 assist, no goals. His XGI against Chelsea was 0.00. I can't remember I've seen an XGI from Trent in 0.00. Like, under Slot, I know his underlying data's still all right, but under Slot, he isn't quite as threatening. The clean sheets are there, but it's a lot of money. You can get the clean sheets and have Konate for 2 million less. What's your take on Trent?
I definitely won't sell him. I don't think he's a sell, personally, because the fixtures after this week are decent.
They are.
I guess they're not amazing. Brighton at home, Villa at home, but then Southampton is the one where you're looking at a haul potentially in 12. And that's a week I'm planning him for because I don't have him right now. And I sort of swerved Trent because of the fixtures that he had in week 8 and 9. But now from game week 10 onwards, I think he's a fine player to have. So I think if you ride out this week and if you don't necessarily need the funds this week, you can just keep him for a while.
Yeah, fair point. You can.
You're mentioning that he's not as attacking under the new manager, but he's still top for XGI among defenders this season. I mean, he's clearly ahead of his counterparts. It's not even close. I mean, the guy in second, I think, is Porro, and he's not even close. I think Trent is far ahead.
He is really far. His XGI is good. Like, it's just short of 3. He has been robbed from a few assists. I think I plan to keep him. I think I plan to. Yeah, I don't have any immediate plans to sell him as a season keeper. Guys, thank you for all your questions in the chat as well. By the way, any rumours or chat that either Bigman or myself might have been privy to Saka news is absolutely bonkers. I can't believe, like, Saka was a legit potential sell, but like my strategy for ages has been I'm going to be selling Saka. So those that sold him ahead of Bournemouth didn't know anything. They just took the punt, and they did know something. They knew it was very unlikely he wasn't on the team bus because we all saw the same video. Yeah, and you actually mentioned
Johnny,
Son on
and
this
I think
stream, didn't you? You mentioned that you might buy Son even on Chasing Green Arrows on Friday.
yeah, and even when we were discussing Saka and when we were discussing that we might keep him, it was always with the caveat if fit, if fit. There was
Yeah,
no there was
yeah,
no concrete information on his availability for the game, and there was no leak that he had traveled. Right.
yeah,
In fact, I actually updated my team reveal article an hour and a half before the deadline, distinctly mentioning that I would go for Son if there are no leaks.
yeah.
So
Did you? Yeah,
I really don't get what the
it's
fuss is
funny.
all about. There's nothing to be suspicious about.
Honestly, I found it hilarious. So really, really funny.
I mean,
Just that
there's all kind of conspiracy theories going on.
it's funny because there was a lot of managers that sold him, but there was also a ton of content creators, and including some of the biggest names on YouTube, FPL YouTube, that kept Saka. Don't you think those people might have been privy to the news in the leak? FPL Mate kept Saka. FPL Harry, apparently, Rep Masters put in the chat, kept Saka. I kept Saka. Like, probably one of us would have been privy to that news if there was an inner circle, a team leak. So, yeah, really funny. But look, if Saka's available this weekend, I still was happy to sell him. Like, my plan was always to sell Saka this game week. Personally, I think it's too risky now. Arteta's not going to tell us. We're not going to get a leak. If you own Saka, I think you do sell him this week, right? Would you agree, big man? Obviously, he didn't play last night, and Arteta's been up to his usual tricks. That you can't read too much into what he says, but he hasn't trained. We know that.
I think the best thing is that because it's a Friday deadline, you just wait till Friday,
Yeah.
see if there's any information on Saka training. If there's
Training
no
pictures,
information, which
yeah.
I doubt he will be, because I mean Arteta's too much. He's too smart for us to give those
He
kind of
is.
clues away,
Doesn't
especially
he?
before a game
Yeah.
against Liverpool.
Yeah.
I mean, on Friday when we were podding, Jani, we were discussing that how optimistic and how hopeful he was on Saka being fit for Bournemouth. Turns out it was quite the opposite. So he's the last guy I trust for Saka's availability, and I doubt we get any kind of information. In which case, I think I'd sell personally. Without any information, because the next three fixtures aren't amazing anyway.
They're not.
Next two fixtures. Yeah,
If you're
exactly.
going to sell him, this is the week to sell him. One, massive fitness concern, but two, it's the fixture, right? It doesn't come much more tricky. So yeah, I'm with you there. Best replacements, like the obvious replacements, I guess, are Son and Palmer, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Son and Palmer for sure. They're the best ones, and they're the ones I'd go for. I mean, if you can afford to go for Palmer, as mentioned earlier, I think I prefer Palmer because he saves a move later. But if you can't, then Son is fine, because Son is, one of the best captains in 11 as well. The fixtures to come are still all right. And if fit, just by the way, keep an eye out on his news as well. I think these two are clearly the standouts when it comes to Saka replacements.
Yeah. Foden's a bit of a non-event now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's firmly in the don't buy, don't sell category. But I actually think he's going to start this week, and as a non-owner, I fear a haul.
Yeah.
I think he's going to haul, because one
I
of the
still want to
reasons
sell
why
him after that, but
this week,
I'm with you. No, I want to sell him after.
Yeah.
What the Wolves fixture told me was he's not a long-term hold.
Yeah, that's true. And when I saw that team sheet, when I saw the game, I think Pep was we went with Bernardo Silva simply because he wanted more control. He was let's say he was trying to guard against some of the counterattacks that might come his way, but they're not going to have any kind of threat against Southampton, and it's a home fixture as well, so it suits Foden. He'll be allowed to play freely and create, and I think Foden will do well this week. I think he's a good hold, but I completely agree with you. He's not a long-term pick for sure.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm looking ahead, going, I could just have Foden and sell him to get Son in 11. Like, I could have to find the money, but it's possible, because the only thing that puts me off not going Palmer right here, right now, like Palmer's going to rise in price tonight. I have to make the move before tonight. Is I really want Sonny, but I could still get Son for the Ipswich game, and I use Foden to get him out. And Foden in game week 11, like, sure, the fixtures for Foden are good. Game week 11, he's got Brighton away, but who knows if he's going to start that? And it does feel like I'm going to be there every week with Foden, like, will he, won't he? In terms of that early game, I'm just looking to see if we'll get any team leaks. No, like, Man City don't play in the early kickoff. Early kickoff's always really important, by the way. In game week 10, it's likely we'll know about Arsenal because Newcastle and Arsenal play each other in the early kickoff, game week 10. So if you are holding Saka to 10, obviously it's Leicester Forest this week. Game week 11, there is no early kickoff. It's the 3 o'clock games. No early kickoff. Straight in with the threes. But there's no juicy 3 o'clock games. There's 4 games: Brentford, Bournemouth, Palace, Fulham, West Ham, Everton, Wolves, Southampton. So literally no team leaks there. And then game
No
week
relevant
12.
ones.
Yeah, as if we get 4 games, 8 teams where we could get a league, and none of them are good teams. Rubbish. Or good FPL teams. So yeah, I can't rely on that for Foden either, with Man City not being in the early game. Yeah. Okay. We haven't spoken about Bruno, big man. We should do, because congratulations, you got an attacking involvement, and some might say he looked quite good. He had 5 shots.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of relief more than anything else, to be very honest at this point, because he's trolled me enough for me to deserve a return. So I mean that's the least I deserve for keeping the patience with him, and I'm going to keep him in the next 5 weeks. I think the fixtures to come are still fine, especially in the second half. United look really good, and they almost sort of seem to step up when Ten Hag's job is in danger. So, I mean, if that trend is to continue, then the next 4 or 5 weeks should make for good reading for Bruno owners.
Yeah. I watched the highlights and I thought, I still wouldn't be picking him, but I was surprised to see Eriksen playing slightly more ahead of him. Like, ideally, you want a midfield of like Casemiro, Mainu, and Bruno, so he's always the 10. But Ten Hag and Dean mentioned this, like his new thing is Eriksen. Like Eriksen's getting all the games randomly. But Eriksen in the midfield, I don't think massively helps Bruno, because they're both similar. They want to be on the similar sort of spaces.
Yeah, I don't think it does. I agree with you there. And I would rather have Bruno playing more advanced, but they sort of seem to interchange. It's not as if it's set in stone that Eriksen is always advanced, but it's sort of a fluid system where one stays back, the other goes forward.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I think that's a valid point, but yeah, I'm going to keep him for the next 5 weeks and hope for the best.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed for you, mate. Let's just talk about Spurs in general, because we've spoken about Son, but you and I have
Speak to me about Porro, man. Speak to me about Porro, man.
Yeah. Let's start with Porro.
I watched the game. I watched the game, and that guy he's basically the defensive version of Eze and Bruno, that he keeps flirting with points but never tends to get them. He keeps teasing all the time.
Don't forget you got a goal in game week 1 and a haul.
Yeah, well, that was game week 1. Game week 1.
Yeah, he did get
wasn't a haul. It was like 9 points.
Was it? I was sat there behind the goal and was like, oh my God. Okay, yeah, Vardy scored the tap in, didn't he? But okay, so Porro, you must prefer, like, you must have seen the halftime sub of Maddison off, puts a midfield 3 of Pap Sarr with Basuma and Kulu. It just means there's more responsibility on Porro then, when it's not a midfield 3, which includes Maddison and Kulu, which is what we've seen of late. So second half, I guess he was even better, was he?
He was taking some corners as well in the second half.
Oh, because no Maddison, he was on corners.
No Maddison, yeah, he was on corners as well. And I think even in the first half, he had this scissor kick attempt, which narrowly missed the target. There was one shot in the first half which was saved spectacularly by Areola. It was deflected, and I mean, he's top for shots among defenders this season. Is Porro? I think he's a fantastic pick. Keeps flirting with points, doesn't tend to get them, as mentioned earlier. He's basically the Eze and Bruno of defenders. But yeah, great pick, and one I'm very, very happy to have in my team.
Yeah, fair play. And Solanke, because I love an average position map, and Solanke was getting on the ball very deep. He was doing his best Bobby Firmino impression. And some games, that happens. He did it. He had a really good game. I want him in the box at all times. And there will be games where he is just in the box and he's feeding off the crosses. But it felt like a game where there was a ton of chances for Brennan, a ton of chances for Son, but Solanke was more provider. And it's like, I don't want to spend 7.6 million on a provider when there's midfielders there like Brennan that are cheaper than you getting the chances.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. He was playing deep. He was basically pulling off an impression of peak Harry Kane, where he sort of tends to go deep, and the other wingers left and right around him make the runs beyond him. But Gianni, I think while it's important to to note that Solanke has been playing in a sort of a deeper position in the last 2 games. It
Yeah.
must not be forgotten that before those 2 games, there were 4 games in which Solanke had 8 big chances, and he was clearly the focal point of the Spurs
True.
attack.
Yeah.
So when you look at his numbers overall, from the let's say from an overall point of view, where he's played close to I think 7 to 8 games overall, including the European games as well. His XG per 90 is still fairly impressive. The big chances per game are still very impressive. I don't think there's any reason to panic. I think he's still a fine pick, a fine hold, and the fixture is still fine. There's no concern for me on that matter at all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. And it gives you Spurs cover as well. If you can't get to like a Sonny, you've still got that attack covered. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Good to see FPL Discomfort in the chat. Shout out to you. Lewis as well. Lewis has said, Sonny, this was a quote from Postecoglou. I haven't checked this. Lewis, I'm trusting you here. He says, Sonny was a bit sore after the weekend. He was never going to play tomorrow. We will see for the weekend. Because he obviously wasn't pitched in training today. Valuable insight there from Postecoglou. Postecoglou will also be asked this on Thursday.
Friday, I think. Friday. Will be Friday.
No, sorry. Yeah, Friday press conference. But on the Thursday game, like a post-match versus Alkmaar, he'll probably be asked about Sonny, or maybe even pre-match. So we might get even some more from Postecoglou. But you're right. On Friday, he'll definitely be asked. And I guess Spurs don't play on the Sunday, do they?
But no, as an owner,
Monday. Are they Monday Night Football Spurs next week?
No, they're Sunday. They're Sunday.
Oh yeah, Sunday at 2. Okay, yeah.
Sunday at 2, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, an extra day of rest would be great. I think as an owner, I'm actually sort of happy to hear that he's being rested and not being pushed around in a fixture if he's not fully fit. But yeah, we will have, I guess, a full and a more concrete update closer to the deadline. But I suspect he'll be fine from if that's what he's saying. If he's sore and he's just being rested, then I expect him to be fine.
Yeah. I think
it's probably not going to be significant enough to rule him out for the weekend. And that's my reading for it.
Yeah, and Postecoglou is the type that will tell us on Friday. We will see training pictures. He won't be like Arteta, where he goes, if Arteta trains, if Saka trains, Arteta will say to the media team, you're not uploading any training photos that include Saka. I don't want anyone knowing if he's fit or not. Postecoglou will not give that message to his media team. They'll upload what they want from training on Friday. Big man, we've got 180 people watching, which is slightly lower than normal, and I know why. Because our producers just messaged to say, whenever you can, mate, could you tweet? A big man tweet goes a long way. Charles Watts is in the chat, says, question for two of the cartel's kingpins. Is Son out, and who are you replacing him with? Thanks, Charles Watts. Yeah, great. Well, I'm selling Saka regardless, and I was going to consider buying Son, but my Son Palmer decision would have gone down right to the wire. And I'm almost glad I don't think it can now. My hand is forced because Palmer is going up in price tonight. And I think that means I just got to buy Cole Palmer. Would you do that, big man? You'd make that move tonight. I mean, I've got the exact funds.
Yes, after the Champions League games.
Yeah. Well, who's playing? Yeah, what, in case like a Haaland gets injured or something?
Yeah, Haaland gets injured. Haaland's
I go to bed so early though, big man.
You don't watch the Champions League games generally?
Generally, yes. On a week when I'm ill, like last night, I watched the first half and went to bed at half-time.
Liverpool Leipzig is going to be a fun game.
True. Yeah, good point. Well, I'll stay up till 10. That's late for me.
Yeah. The things we do for FPL.
I know.
I stay up to like 2:33. So I mean, spare thought for me. You have a problem staying up till 10?
I'm telling you 10. I'm up though. I'm up, fully clothed, making porridge at 5 a.m. It's ridiculous. It's because my daughter's been waking early, but yeah. So there we go. Guys, thank you as always for your comments in the chat. Big man, I'm keen to see your team then. Let's have a look at it, shall we? As if I've got to wait up till after the Champions League games. I was happy to have a night off, to be fair. I'm feeling dreadful. Barca Bayern, though, it will be good, Geddy. You're right.
All right, so this is my team. Currently, let's say if Son is fit, which is the assumption that I'm going to take looking at Ange's quote, I'm going to be saving a transfer. I don't think there are any significant moves that I can make this week which would warrant me using any of my free transfers. I'm happy to keep Bruno. I'm happy to have Son, Solanke. Calvert-Lewin as well. He's had 5 big chances, my pardon, in 4 games so far. He's
God,
getting the chances.
so many.
Fulham will be without Anderson as well, and even Sasa Lukic is a doubt. I watched
Oh,
Fulham at the weekend, Johnny, against Villa, because I wanted to cheer on Rodgers,
yeah.
and I noticed that there was a lot of space to run into, especially in the center of the park where Sander Berge was playing DM, and I don't think he did a really good job of
He's not a DM,
marching
is he?
defense. Yeah, exactly. So there was plenty of
Box to
space for
box.
Villa, and I think that could be exploited this week by Everton. And I think he's due a haul. Honestly, I'm like the numbers point in that direction, so I'm comfortable with the idea of holding him. But yeah,
1.3
I think the
XG
rest,
at the weekend he got, mate. He was the biggest XG underperformer again. We were unlucky. The 1-on-1, yeah.
yeah, and picking him over Wood has been, it's stung. It really has stung. I mean, it's been a
Yeah,
big swing
that's
on the game week
huge.
6 wildcard because Wood has continuously delivered points. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for some positive variance again this week because in the previous week the Sun move, Jani, for me was actually an 11-point swing, not an
Wow.
8 point swing. You know how?
Sub.
Sub Saliba, first sub. Oh
Yeah.
my days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an 11-point swing. Had I kept Saka, rolled the transfer, I would have been 11 points worse off. So I'm happy with where I am, and I'm hoping for some kind of miracle again next week, um, with
Yeah.
with some positive variance. I think the only decision that I actually have to make in my team this week is maybe let's say Gabriel versus Mikalenko.
Yeah, that's a big one. I was going to ask you about that because I've got the same decision in my team. I think Mikalenko is the better option. I think. What do the clean sheet odds say? Do we know the clean sheet odds yet?
I do. I've looked at them. Everton are 24%. Arsenal are 25. So it's 1% in it.
Wow. Very
Yeah, I mean, I
tight.
can check. I can check the latest ones. This was when I checked yesterday. I mean, they might
I
have even dropped
fancy
because
I fancy Everton a bit higher
California.
than that.
Yeah, I mean, I expected the same, to be very honest. I expected Everton to be higher, but maybe it's because Fulham have been playing well. They've been scoring pretty much in every game. Raul Jimenez has been doing well, so maybe it's a combination of that.
How do
But
Liverpool? Do you know this
yeah,
question? How do Liverpool mark from set pieces? They zonal or they're man to man. If they're man to man, Van Dijk's on Gabriel. I don't see Gabriel scoring a header. But if that's
he scored.
zonal,
He scored last season against them. He
oh,
scored
don't
last
say
season
that.
against them.
God,
Yeah, he
because I'm,
did.
I'm just trying to
I
work
think.
out like Gabriel header chances.
Yeah, it was at Anfield. I remember the game distinctly because I played Gabriel that week and he scored.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the issue, right? I think if the odds stay as they are, and if they stay closer to each other, then I think I'll play Gabriel for the attacking threat. But let's say if before the deadline there's a creep in the odds and Everton are, let's say, 4 or 5% better than Arsenal, then I'll risk it with Mikalenko.
What I'd
Because there's
say
a chance
though,
that Arsenal drop as well. Because there's a chance that Arsenal drop as well with the injury to Calafiori.
true.
Let's say if yeah, Saliba is definitely unavailable. Let's say if Saka is also unavailable. So these kind of things will affect the odds as
Yeah,
well. Right. So I'm
Zinchenko
going
at
to have a
left
look.
back massively affects the odds. That's a couple of percent straight away.
Yeah. So there you go. So I'm going to have a look at them before the deadline, and then I'll decide. But currently, I'm playing Gabriel because of his attacking threat. But I could easily be wrong over here. I think Mikalenko could be a better player
I'm
to
on
own.
I'm on Mikalenko currently because
Yeah.
again, you're right. Like goal threat, Gabriel edges it. But for me, I think in this fixture, knowing the opposition is Liverpool, bonus points. Yeah, sure. If Arsenal win 1-0, Gabriel's got a chance of bonus points. But there's players like Salah on the pitch, right? Mikalenko, I could very easily see an Everton win to 0. And if they do, Mikalenko's just got 7 points for exactly that. A 2-0 home win or away win, Mikalenko got some bonus because he is quite creative. I think Mikalenko's got the higher bonus threat. Don't
You
know.
do?
I do,
Yeah.
just because he's who he's competing with. He's in a fixture with Fulham players who aren't great in the BPS, who I don't think will score many. And someone said in the chat, rightly so, Fulham do score goals. Freddie said it. But I don't think they will against Everton at Goodison. I don't see Fulham scoring more than one, and I think Everton could keep it clean. They've kept 2 cleans recently.
They have, but let's say if Brantford was declared fit before the deadline, I think that would be quite a huge swing in Mikalenko's favor.
Is that likely? Do we know? Is he anywhere near? Is he really close?
He was close-ish last week. He was
Was he?
close-ish. That's what Dyche said. So I would suspect there's a good chance of him being close this week as well.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Michael Keane played really well. Obviously, got the goal.
So are you benching Gabriel in your team, Shani?
Yeah, I've got Trent, Gabriel, Mikolenko, 3 players. Which one do you bench out of those 3? Trent has to start. Trent is not a player you can bench in any fixture, I don't think. I mean, there
agree.
might be some that say, bench Trent, but I can't. And Liverpool defensively have been so good. And if Saka's out, Arsenal in attack aren't guaranteed to score. So Trent starts for me, and then it's Gabriel on the bench, Mikolenko in the 11 at the moment.
But Johnny, I know a few managers out there who have, let's say, a Brentford defender, and they're considering playing him over Trent, which is a very
Really.
I would suggest it's actually a very decent debate to have.
Yeah,
because
I mean the fixture's amazing for Brentford, but they're Brentford, like they are flaky at the back.
They're flaky, but it's Ipswich at home, right? And we've seen Pinnock score like twice in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Collins has scored as well this season. So Brentford have some real threat from set plays.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair argument. I just feel Trent is so dangerous because of the set piece threat he has as well. Remember, set pieces.
Yeah. I'd play Trent in your case for sure.
Yeah. And set pieces come in any game, right? Like we always say, you can win a penalty in any game. You can win a free kick on the edge of the box in any game, which Trent can tuck away. You can win corners in any game. So because the fixture's tough, sure, you might get fewer corners or fewer free kicks or fewer lower chances of a pen. But I think we're good. FPL discomfort. Good news. Rico Lewis is probably benched, so it will end up with all 3 defenders. I don't know. I do not expect Rico to be benched. Whether he plays
Walker isn't fit, right? Walker's
not fit, but Akanji can still play right back, and he loves Akanji. And with Stones back in the mix, you might see Akanji getting fewer minutes at centre back. So I don't think the Walker link necessarily strengthens the appeal for Lewis that much. I just say Lewis is great and therefore needed.
I'm hoping Lewis is benched tonight, actually.
Me too, and he might be.
Yeah, because if he starts tonight, then I mean, I wouldn't be 100% sure on a Lewis start, even though I would still expect it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got benched.
He's a fit young lad, but you're right. When they get 3 in a week and knowing it's Pep, you do question it. But I expect City to have a lot of rotation tonight. Like, there's no banker Haaland starts tonight. I think he does, but there'll be a lot of rotation tonight because it's a home. It's a good home fixture for them in the Champions League. Triple captaincy is not a discussion this week anymore, is it? Like the way City are playing, you can't consider triple captain.
I think it's a debate to be had. I won't go as far as to say that it's not a debate. It is a debate, Gianni. I
think it was a few weeks ago when we looked at this fixture, but they've been very fortunate to win against Wolves. They were very fortunate to win against Fulham. Fulham were the better team, and Newcastle even before that. The last 3 games, they've been terrible.
But Southampton. They're the worst team in the division, right? You would expect City to batter them. I would be surprised. I would genuinely be surprised if City scored less than 4 in this fixture. I genuinely expect City to score minimum 3, minimum. So it's going to be a comfortable City win. Currently, I'm not going to be triple captain Haaland as things stand, but that's not because City are playing poorly or because I don't think that Haaland will do well. I think Haaland will do well. Why I'm currently considering not to triple captain him has more to do with the fact that we might get double game weeks later in the season. We might get a double game week for Chelsea, for example, in January, which is contingent on certain things happening. Similarly, Salah's going to have Southampton at home. Palmer's going to have the Ipswich at home. These kind of fixtures will still happen in the season. So we will have plenty of other ample opportunities if we want to go to single game weekers later in the season. It's just that I think the opportunity cost of going against Haaland this week is very low because there will be other opportunities as well later in the season. That's the way I'm looking at it. But I fully expect him to score a sizable haul this week. I mean, I'm expecting him to do really well.
Yeah. You're right. There's so many good singles. I mean, Salah plays Ipswich at home still, Southampton at home still. Yeah, you're right. There's still obviously some very, very good ones. I'm going to bring you any quotes I can from the Postecoglou press conference, by the way. So I'm going to look for that. Bigman, any other sort of future plans with you? Do you look at someone like Mo Salah and think, how the hell can I get you back in my team? Because I look at that and go, no route. I don't know how I do it.
Same with Trent in my team.
Yeah.
Same with Trent in my team. You actually have Trent, so you don't have the problem. That's why I'm I was requesting you or advising you not to sell him.
Yeah, it's one less headache for game week whenever when we all need Trent.
Yeah,
And
I
especially because you
realistically,
can get Palmer. Palmer's won't be difficult for you, will he? In
and Johnny, I
12.
want to actually touch upon this. I want to touch upon this. I think my route realistically to Salah is going to be Haaland if I make the move, and I think that is one of the reasons why I
Wow.
want to save a transfer this week, because next week I there's every chance I may do nothing and I may decide to roll another transfer and go into, let's say, game week 11 with 5 free transfers.
Mm,
But there's every chance that I may decide to commit harakiri and go big with some
wow.
of the surgery that I may commit in my team. And that will, I mean, if I go to that extent, that will involve getting Trent, that will involve getting Salah. Salah for, let's say, one of the budget mids, Trent, let's say, for Lewis or Saliba. And let's say someone like maybe even a Darwin or a Cunha or Evan Nilsson or
Yeah, okay.
uh, or Raul Jimenez for Holland. I mean, these options are on the table, and there are some things I'm considering, because I want Salah for game week 12. That fixture is really good, but then again, I may decide against it because Haaland and Son are going to cover me well for captaincy anyway because they rotate really well. So I don't want to commit to any decision right now because it may have major repercussions on the rest of the season. But for now, I'm just happy, uh, let's say, postponing that decision for another week.
Yeah, I hear you. I think I'm probably the same.
Have you
Yeah,
contemplated Holland out though? Have you given it
no,
any serious thought? It will
no.
be hard because he's going to bang this week, and then I doubt we'll be sitting here contemplating selling him.
I haven't. If I want Salah, my route isn't Haaland. My route would mean selling Trent, which makes no sense because I'd be wanting Salah because Liverpool got good fixtures, which means I'm also going to want Trent because he's got good fixtures.
Yeah.
I do have Foden, but converting Foden to a Salah is pretty still impossible. Like I do have that expensive midfielder I could find an upgrade for, but it's still a lot of money. I think I'm more likely to go Foden to Son in a couple of weeks. And you've got the Bruno spot, but again, the Bruno spot to Salah spot is still huge money. And it comes down to, do you want to sell your Mbermos or your Solankis to complete enablers?
No.
And I don't think we want to be selling those spots to complete enablers. You know, you take Mbermo down to a Dibbling or Solanke down to a Delap or whoever, it's a big downgrade. It's got to be, and again, you probably need to make 2 of those downgrades to find the extra for Salah. So it comes at a huge compromise. So you're right, for your team, it probably does need to be Haaland. For my team, It could be one of those mid prices down a little bit and Trent down a little bit. But for yours, it probably needs to be Haaland. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'm leaning as well, because I'm currently happy with how the team looks and the position I'm in. But I mean, this is a decision that can have huge impact for the rest of the season, because then you're going against the crowd in terms of effective ownership week in, week out.
Yeah, it's fine for the one-off game, but you're doing it for a sustained period because you can't sell Haaland, spend the money, and then think a route to getting him back. If you're selling Haaland, you're selling him for a while. Like you're not okey cokey and jumping between him. It's too difficult.
Yeah, with this team, my route to Palmer is Son, so I can easily afford a Haaland and Palmer team. The issue is Trent and Salah. So how do I get both of them in? And if I am to get Trent and Salah in, then the route is Haaland. There's simply no other route.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. It's either Haaland or it's either Trent and Salah.
And Son to Palmer is going to be so popular game week 12. Everyone is making that move. But again, you need $1 million for it. It's not like it's free, that move. Palmer is going up as well, remember. If Palmer delivers against teams like Newcastle and Man United as well, he'll be at 11 million by the time you buy him in game week 12. He's already 10.8. I think he's going up to 10.9 tonight, in fact. So yeah, he's 10.9 as of tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not going to be a huge issue either way, because I think, let's say, if I sell one of Saliba or Porro to a 4.5 million defender, I'm going to be fine. So it's not a huge
I was so hoping you would use
extra.
Bruno as your example. We were waiting for you to say, if I could just sell Bruno, He said it.
I was actually going to sell Bruno in 14. That's the plan that I have. In 12 and 13, Bruno has Ipswich and Everton, and there's no way I'm selling him before those fixtures.
Yeah.
So my plan for Bruno is to sell him in 14, not in 12, not in 13.
Yeah, okay, I hear you. That's why Bruno's when you always said the 6-week thing, it was because of Ipswich and Everton, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, nice. You're keeping Saliba. You've got a good back line. There'll be others out there looking to sell Saliba. I think that's fine too. Like good defensive.
I think it depends on the bench cover. it depends on the bench cover that people have. If people, let's say, don't have a bench cover, then they can sell him easily for, let's say, Porro. I think Saliba to Porro should be a very good transfer. But if they are looking for, let's say, they're looking to facilitate a move from Saka to Palmer, then I like Dunk as a cheap defender to get this week, because the fixture this week is fine. Wolves at home, and then I know the next two aren't great, but after that, the run till game week 18 is sublime. So long term, I'm looking at buying Dunk soon in my team.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Dunk's an interesting one. I prefer 8 Nori, I think, and I also love that Nottingham Forest defence. Like, Nottingham Forest have got all their defenders at 4.5, and their stats have been so good this season, Forest. And obviously, Sales has been brilliant for me. I'd cover the Forest defence in some way, shape, or form, I think. But I look at your team, and I don't see many players who I'm like, yeah, that's the obvious player you'll sell. Like, sure, you're going to sell Bruno at some point, but Rodgers and Burmo, Porro, Gabriel Lewis, they all feel like long-term holds. Solanke. Like, there's a lot of forwards doing well at the minute. Like, and we're obviously keeping Solanke till Ipswich. But do you see yourself maybe selling Solanke for 12 when he goes to Man City?
Potentially. I think I will reevaluate Spurs in game week 12. It's as simple as that. And that includes Son, that includes Porro, that includes Solanke. Right? That includes everyone. But for now, I'm happy to just let it be.
Yeah. And that's that Crystal Palace game on Sunday for Spurs. How do we see that going? Like, Glasner's fighting for his job now, isn't he? This could be nail in the coffin for Glasner. They've been weak defensively, Crystal Palace, but Selhurst Park is one of those places we always say it's a tough place to go.
It's going to be a huge fixture, and I kind of like it for the Spurs guys. I think there will be goals in it. Personally, I'm not expecting a Porro clean sheet. I'm expecting to be, let's say, high-scoring draw.
Yeah, I could see. I think Eze's a good pick this week still.
Yeah, I can see Eze doing well.
Yeah, okay, I hear that.
But to be fair, I've been saying this since the start of the season, and he's just been dodging points like anything.
Yeah, I mean, that shot against Sells in the first half, I was like,
well, that was an insane save. That was an insane save.
He's so but such a good hit too. Like, Eze is so close to scoring screamers all the time. And it's like, how are you dodging points still? It goes back to game week 1 where he scored the free kick, which was disallowed. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Guys, thank you so much for staying with us. If you've got any questions, do let us know. Captaincy isn't really a debate this week unless you don't own Haaland. If you don't own Haaland, there are really good options. I think Palmer's a good option. I think Watkins is an option. I think Burmo's an option, isn't he? Like, Ipswich at home.
Yeah, for sure. He's my vice at the moment. I think I would prefer Palmer. Actually, if I didn't have Haaland, I think Palmer would be my number one choice. But yeah, I think Mbomo's kind of all right as well.
Yeah. I'm going to have to buy Palmer. You're right. I got to buy Palmer after the Champions League tonight, haven't I? But yeah, I've just looked. There are free to use predictor sites, by the way, guys, in terms of price rises. FPL Statistics is one I like. But there's loads that you can, as part of membership packages to other websites as well. But they all have, I've just checked 3 of them. They all have Palmer going up tonight. So probably going up, which is surprising that he's had so many buy him this game week, knowing he blanked against Liverpool and he's already so expensive. But the reason so many are buying him is the Saka flag. You see Saka's flag, you see he didn't play the Champions League. Son, Palmer are both going to get a huge boost because of that. Eze's not a pick, says Freddie, now for Dean after his son transferred him out. Big man, Dean revealed yesterday his son, his 6-year-old son, made 3 transfers on the app on Dean's team without Dean knowing. He took his phone, he made 3 moves, yeah.
Wow.
But the funny thing is, he made moves that are actually quite good. Like, probably Dean wouldn't have made them either. So he bought in Palmer, he sold Eze, he bought in Dibbling. I think he sold Saka. I can't remember, maybe an attacker or a defender move. But yeah, they weren't. He took a 4-point hit. But yeah, not bad moves to be fair.
I mean,
so we are losing to a guy that lets his kids get hold of his app. Like, come on.
So we're basically losing to Dean's kid.
Yeah, 6-year-old. Yeah. Matt says, would you do Greaves to Mikalenko? Greaves is out till November, like international break, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's a low maintenance, low priority transfer, right? If you have three better defenders in your team in your 11, then why do you want to sell Greaves? You can just let him stay there on the bench. Dan is asking Wissa and Matoma on the radar this week. I won't call them on the radar, but they're good picks to have this week.
Yeah, Vissa got
Luke
30,
is-
didn't he? He could be good for a start now. And it is Ipswich. But we still don't know if he'll start. It is a gamble with Vissa. When you've been out for a while, you don't know if you play 30 and then 60 or 30 then 30 and then 60. So you need to know he's going to start if you're buying Vissa.
Yeah, hi, Luke. Luke is asking Trent to Guardiol or Diaz to Garnacho to fund Palmer.
Oh,
Diaz to Garnacho, I think, because you'd want Trent. There's a chance you might want Trent after this week, but there's no chance you want Diaz after this week. And similarly for Guardiol, I think the best fixture is this week, but after this week, I'm not sure you'd want a City defender, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Diaz to Garnacho out of the two moves, for sure.
And do consider Diaz to Brennan if you're shopping in the same price band. I do like Garnacho as a pick, but Brennan's still very good. I know he didn't score, but he looked very good at the weekend. Nabadeep says, I want to bring in Vissa and Aitnori. Yeah, they're both good moves. If we think Vissa's going to start to fund them, shall I A, sell Saka to Foden? Oh, that is so risky. I love it for the upside, but honestly, if Foden starts tonight, which he will, you think he'll start against Southampton, but it's no guarantee. Or B, sell Saka to Salah, but then you got to sell Trent. You got the transfers to do it. I mean, having Salah is a really fun option. Those that are selling Saka are all going to Palmer or they're going to that price band. So if you can go Saka to Salah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't mention Salah to Palmer or Son, but let's say if we consider these two options, I think I would go with the first.
I mean, selling Trent isn't fun, is it?
It's not, exactly.
Yeah. Just know if you're buying Foden, you're going to want to sell him in a couple of weeks because I don't think he's secure in that team, even if he plays well. Like, there's something not right there between him and Pep. Zubin, start 2 of Aitnori. Gabriel, I'd start Aitnori over Gabriel, I think. Delap. Oh, you got to start your attackers. You got to start Rodgers. Absolutely start Rodgers. That's not even a debate. Yeah.
How do you rank premiums over the next 4-6 weeks? Actually, this is a very good question. Let's talk a bit about this, Jani. Over the next 4-6 weeks includes this week, which is why I guess Haaland would still be top. Am I right in saying that, Jani?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And Haaland first. Second, I would say is Palmer, personally. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm always cautious on Palmer because I don't like buying somewhere I've got, emotional attachment to as a Chelsea fan. But yeah, I think you're right. Knowing it's 4 to 6. If you're saying next 3 weeks, I don't think Palmer would be second, but 4 to 6, yeah.
I think third would be Salah because his run after this week is great. And then I guess then it's the rest. It's Saka and the other guys. I'm not exactly counting Son.
If De Bruyne was
I'm not
fit,
counting Son as a premium. I should have counted Son as a premium. I think Son is. I would have him just below Salah.
Yeah. Okay. I think so. So what? That means you've got Palmer above Salah.
I've got Palmer above Salah because it includes this week's fixture, where Palmer has a much better fixture.
Okay.
After this week, I don't think Haaland will be first. That's the point I'm trying to make. It will.
I love that you're considering. I love your consideration for Haaland out as well. I'm excited about that, mate. Really.
I think next week, I think Salah might be first. Then you can debate between Haaland and Palmer.
You have the free transfers as well. We spoke earlier about you having the need to, if you got to sell, if you need a Salah, your cash cow is Haaland, mine could be Trent. But you also have something different to me in the respect that you've got the free transfers, which you're going to need.
Yeah, and if I save this week, I'll have 4 next week.
Yeah, I've got none, I've already made my dibbling move to get some funds for those premiums.
You watched the Southampton game? I mean, you must have been buzzing when Southampton were scoring so early in the game, and we were getting goal alerts every now and then, and I was like, this must be dibbling, but never seemed to happen. He was not that great, actually, in that game.
No, I mean, that first goal, it was like, the ball would have eventually come his way, but... Yeah, wasn't he was close to the ball when the ball went in the net on both goals, but it never really looked like scoring. And he got a yellow card, so 1 point. 2 free transfers for Sally, Saka to Mbermo. Yeah, if you don't have a Mbermo, the fixtures from Mbermo just continue to still be really good. Garnacho or Kulu? That's a good question. I still think Garnacho.
Garnacho from me as well. Yeah. Simply because I think there are better three Spurs to have, and Garnacho should play now regularly, and the fixtures are nice. Thoughts on Kai? The next three fixtures are not amazing. I think Gianni is probably the biggest Kai fanboy on earth.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't have him in his team, then that probably says a lot.
The biggest reason to sell Kai Havertz is if Saka's out the team, that attack. We saw Sterling on the right-hand side against Bournemouth, and boy, Sterling is a massive downgrade on that right-hand side than Saka. Charles Watts, who's a priority buy for the next 3-4? Is it Son, Salah, or Palmer? Well, I'm buying Palmer, and Bigman's chasing Salah at some point. Last question from Bunny V. Oh, I would say from those options, probably the second one I prefer. Rodgers is great. Garnacho is going to be great. McNeil's a good pick. Yeah. Thanks, Bunny B, and thank you all for watching. Me and Big Man will be back on Friday, I think. I don't know what time yet, but we'll let you know. It's usually Friday at 2:00, so I expect it'll be the same. So, guys, thank you for watching. On your way out, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. If you're just tuning in, go back and watch the last hour, and we'll see you for another stream very, very soon. Bye-bye.